Hello and welcome to the Leeds Up podcast. I'm James and I'm joined by Rocco Dean,
Hello.
Dara Cunningham,
Hello there.
and very special guest, he's always special, Isaac Johnson from Leeds Live.
Thank you very much. Hi, everyone.
Look at the new additions as well. You got Marching On Together box, signed shirt in the background. Is this like one-upmanship or something?
Well, I've got to show you guys off, haven't I? No, it's. I just thought I needed to decorate a little bit, so there we go. Although I've realised my camera's the wrong way around on here, so it's if you can read backwards, then it's fine. But if
Oh no,
not,
it's showing for us. It's all good. It must be just mirrored
right.
for you. So
it must
yeah.
be mine then, yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Before we get into it, big thanks to Bass and Bligh, based in Harrogate, with over 60 years of experience. They're your go-to for cameras, binoculars, and spotting scopes. Whether you're snapping football action, wildlife, or landscapes, go to Bass and Bligh. They stock brands like Canon, Nikon, Fujifilm, and Sony, and premium optics such as Swarovski, Leica, Opticon, and Zeiss. Rocco, who else do they sell?
Pentax as well.
Well done. Looking for used gear. They've got a brilliant selection, perfect for beginners and seasoned pros. And for our listeners, grab £10 off when you spend £100 on used gear. Ideal for upgrading your kit if you're going on holiday. There's still a few weeks left of the summer. So, yeah, enjoy it. www.bassandbligh.com or 6 Beulah Street in Harrogate. Good stuff. So, Elland Road, under the lights. Great to be back. For anyone who walks down Lowfield Road, there's a new path just before you cross the road, which was big news for everyone walking that way. No more walking, rolling your ankle in the divots like Ampadu. It was nice to have a quick stroll around the club shop, check out all the new merch, and then quickly necked a pint of John Smith's to as a bit of a nerve settler before. But yeah, brilliant to be back at Elland Road. And sorry, Dara, I know that's rubbing salt in the wound, isn't it, a little bit? But Isaac and Rocco, you were both there, both different parts of the ground. Rocco, good to be back.
It was great to be back. I got a £54 fine on my way to the ground.
What
for
for?
not buying a train ticket in advance.
£54?
Yeah, absolutely fuming. And the thing is, right, like when you arrive at Leeds, there's a literal ticket office in the corner of the station right next to the platform, before you go through the paying gates. And it's not a ticket office. It's just there to go and dob yourself in, get yourself it's £100 fine, but it's half the money if you pay in advance. Well, not in advance, by a certain date. So that was a bad start, but then the day just got better and better and better, obviously. A wonderful occasion, wasn't it?
Yo, trains in the UK are absolutely mad to me. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. Like, I fly over, and then the train costs more money than the flight, and then just have all these weird rules, and it's crazy expensive.
So I was meeting my mate on the train, so he was already on it, and my train ticket was going to be 11 quid. And the next train in like 16 minutes was only £4, and that's the reason I didn't actually buy a ticket. I couldn't bring myself to do it. Anyway, beware, folks.
This is what happens. He just descends into men moaning about train times. Can you imagine if we'd lost how bad this bit would have been? God. Isaac, what about you? I mean, we've gone from Rocco and fines, but you've probably gone to the neat confines of the press area. Free meals? Do you get free meals in there? Free meals and drinks?
We do. I don't want to rub it in.
There you go.
We get well treated. Yeah. No, it was good to be back. Like walking into the stadium. I know, for the most part, things have remained the same, but it was just it was good to be back in competitive action. I missed the home friendly against Villarreal. So it was the first time I was back since the Bristol City game. It was just nice to be there around familiar settings, but obviously with one massive difference, a big Premier League logo in the on the matchday program in the centre of the field, which was brilliant. Fantastic atmosphere as well, which I'm sure we'll get onto. But it's good to be back.
Oh, definitely so. I think the feeling inside the ground was amazing. Everyone was up for it well before kickoff, and you just knew it was going to be one of those nights. It started off a bit Everton in possession, everyone a bit nervy about what was going to happen. Prior to that, people were booing the Premier League anthem, which was very nice. but then Everton sort of sprayed a pass out into touch, and then it was like, way, and then they never looked back really, did they? It was kind of all Leeds in the first half. I say it was all Leeds. It was all Leeds corners in the first half. I lost count of how many we actually had. It felt like one was going to go in at some point, but yeah, it was really, really promising early doors, and it didn't seem to stop as well.
It's funny because I looked at the stats at half time and I was really surprised. Like I felt like we'd had about 90% possession, but it was only like 60, and only 6 corners when it felt like 16. But we were just absolutely magnificent. We just didn't let them breathe. It was like a championship game. So impressive.
A championship game against Premier League opposition, which is always nicer. And I tell you what, lads, Daniel Farke, and you know I'm not a Daniel Farke fanboy. I criticised him last season when I felt he deserved criticism. That was a Daniel Farke masterclass. From start to finish, his team selection, it's easy for me to say, his team selection was absolutely spot on. His game management was spot on. His substitutes when they came were spot on. At half time, we were all over Everton, obviously, in the first half. Absolutely brilliant first half. And at half time, you kind of know David Moyes, wily old manager, lots of experience, won his trophies. He's going to do something. He's going to tweak something. And how is Farke going to react? And Farke waited. Obviously, we conceded a little possession over that time. No real chances. And then he saw what Moyes was doing. He put in some countermeasures. And we were back on top, I felt, after the first 15 minutes of the second half as well. So all credit to Senor Daniel Farke, Premier League manager, and just an absolute Farke masterclass.
I think it's quite interesting that there's so many big kicks upfield and long throw-ins from Ampadu, which we've never seen before. I assume, as a man from Wales, he's learned to do line-outs as a kid, being a Welsh boy in rugby, and that's why he was on throw-ins. But the big kicks were funny because it was obviously just us adapting to having to play against teams and do different things. But if you think about it, we probably could have just done big kicks last year in the Championship up to Dan James and just probably scored a load of goals and won a load of games in that way. But it's not the methodology for Farke. But it's interesting that we're having to do it this time round, which shows he's adapting away from how he would probably ultimately like to play. But I think it's a necessary thing, and yeah, really good to see us playing in different ways that have to break down teams.
Yeah, I think with the style of play, obviously with Leeds bringing in the bigger, taller, signings, I think you really saw that really in the set pieces. I mean, there was the corners, some of the corners that came in. I mean, in the first half, especially. I mean, they had Leeds, had Everton scrambling. I mean, some of Pickford's arms were all over the place at times, and yeah.
See, Isaac, you could appreciate this because it's all right for us to tell people that you are a Liverpool fan because you are a reporter for Leeds United. But I think that there must be a bit of you that's happy about us beating Everton as well.
Oh yeah, Everton, Man United, absolutely go for it. Yeah, it's absolutely fine. But no, Leeds deserve the win. Now we can talk about the manner in which the goal came and the penalty, and which I'm sure we will. But no one can deny, and even David Moyes said afterwards, Leeds deserved the win. They played really well. It was Everton who looked like the promoted side. Leeds were really well structured because there were questions how this 4-3-3 formation was going to work in action. It worked spot on, apart from the final third. We just lacked that cutting edge really in the final third. But everything up to there was Premier League standard. Now, will this continue against stronger opposition? Will this continue for the whole of the season? Well, let's see. It's going to be peaks and troughs, obviously, especially with Arsenal this weekend. But that was a very, very good start and a message sent, I think.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm referring to it as the love triangle now of Anton Stack, Altanaka, and Ampadu in the midfield. And I think we talked about it last week about surprise packages and who we thought was going to deliver this season. And I thought Tanaka was immense. I think the midfield in its entirety was just amazing, and it was just amazing. It was perfect to see it click in that manner. Yeah, and is there anything to pluck out there, Rocco, for you? What were your thoughts seeing them in the flesh?
Yeah, well, I'd never seen Stack. I never got to see any of the friendlies that he played in. So it was my first time, and yeah, absolutely lived up to the hype. Thought he was absolutely superb down the left-hand side, and I mean the thing that I think impresses me the most is the fact that Farke has made this change. You know, it's a pretty bold move for a team that's, you know, granted they're coming up, but they've played in a certain way that has done them so well for 2 years. To have that confidence to change the formation in the system, you know, granted it's not, you know, it's not a massive change, but it's pretty significant, isn't it? And yeah, they've obviously worked on it, and the players have adapted really well. And yeah, I mean, I couldn't choose between the three. I thought they were all, you know, all 9 out of 10. Absolutely awesome. I know Ampadu got man of the match in our poll that we did. But it could have been any of them for me. They were all superb.
It's interesting.
I totally agree with you, Rocco. I totally agree with you. I think absolutely superb. And if I was to split them, it would be a hair splitting them. For me, it was Ampadu. I think he was my man of the match, purely down to his leadership. In that first half, there wasn't a challenge he wasn't going to win. Every time he went in for a challenge, you knew he was going to win it. Dictated play really well, really clever. And when he smashed Dewsbury Hall, you knew that was for whatever that post he put up on Twitter a couple of years ago, slagging us off after they got promoted. You just knew the minute Dewsbury Hall turned, and Ampadu must have seen him coming at him. He must have been like, "Now's the time." Absolutely brilliant. But going back to what you're saying though about the bravery of Farke to change up his team, you know, to go to 4-3-3 was, I think, really brave. And he obviously a very strategic decision. We've recruited exactly for that formation, and it worked to a T on Monday. But there was other things we saw for the very first time on Monday that we hadn't seen before. The Ampadu long throw, never seen that before. You know, that's a new thing because we have a load of tall players. We now impose a long throw when we had the opportunity. The other one was the lovely triangles that Stack, Goodmanson, and Nonto were forming out on the left. And then Stack would do a big switch over to Dan James, which he did twice in the game. Again, we never saw that before. So there's lovely little tweaks he's making to this system, which are making us a bit more effective, a bit more Premier League. And it's probably down to the quality of the players as well. I mean, you've got a player like Anton Stack. Yeah, go on, you can switch it. Where you might not have trusted other players to have done that in the past. So, again, I go back to my credit on Farke, but I just thought those tweaks and the bravery of Farke to make them were absolutely brilliant. And that midfield, like Isaac, who would you put? Because I just thought they were all immense.
I gave them all 8. In my play ratings, I couldn't split them, and I think that's probably the story of Monday. There wasn't really one standout player. Like most players, if not all, really put in a good shift and really impressed. That's the takeaway for me from that. And it's interesting you mentioned about Farke's switch up. We were told that at the start of the summer, when they were looking ahead to the new season, Farke came in with a Premier League dossier analysis of the 3 teams that had gone down, and obviously 3 teams that had come up and gone back down over the past 2 seasons. He analysed what they did right, and what they did good. I think, right, what can we do to do something better? And clearly, along with the recruitment team, it has been to get these tall, physical, bulky guys in. And you saw with some of the tackles on Monday that sort of strength works. The height in defending set pieces and obviously attacking set pieces as well. And that's going to be the way to go this season, because unlike last season, even though Farke has said we want to still try and be positive on the front foot and still retain last season's style of play, he's not going to be naive, and he is very much aware that, you know, there's going to be a lot more set pieces that come in, and it's going to be a lot more crosses that come in, and so Leeds need to deal and adapt with that. And one thing on the long throw, as someone who grew up in the Stoke area. I know how long throws can strike fear into the defence of Arsenal. So let's hope Ampadu's fit.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you should say that, because I do feel like we have taken Ampadu for granted a little bit in just our overall discussions in the run up to the season, because he's such an integral part of Leeds United. He's the captain. He's 24 years old. He's still on the up in terms of his overall trajectory, and as in terms of ability as a player. And I think there was one moment which I think I probably talked about it in our group, but he was on the left hand side in the half space. They were all behind the ball, Everton defending, and he rushed to the right hand side. And as he rushed to the right hand side, he opened, the whole team opened up. He played a vertical pass to Joel Pirot, and then it went back out to the left. And all of a sudden, the whole team were in acres of space. So I think we give Ampadu a lot of credit for being defensive and controlling things quite deep, but he was making things really high up the pitch for us as well. I just thought he was absolutely colossal for us, and I think we're so much not so much weaker, but we are weaker as a team when he's not in it. We saw that towards the end of last season. The nerves were there when we just looked, not as organised. And I think that's the thing when you've got a bunch of new players coming in the team as well. You want someone who knows the system and knows what's asked of them inside out, and I think he does. So I'm a little bit nervous about him not being in the team for Arsenal at the weekend, because I think he'll be really, really important to us.
Yeah, the thing for me, I don't. It's too early to say for sure, but I look at the Everton team that we played at Goodison in the year that we went down. I think Skubala was the manager, and it was the one where Meslier did his mistake at the near post, and Coleman scored. Everton were really bad that day, and we were a terrible team, and we looked better than them. And they've got a lot of the same players still, and I don't know. I just look at our team, and even the team from last season, we've got a lot of very good players. Good players that were far too good for the Championship. So I don't know. I just feel I feel after watching on Monday, it's sort of consolidated in my head that we are good enough. We're good enough to compete at least with the bottom half teams. I'm sure we can do it, and the height of the team adds that intimidation as well. So when teams are coming to Elland Road, they've not just got the crowd factor, they've got these giants in the tunnel as well. And yeah, like look at the size of the keeper. I mean, I can't remember seeing a keeper fill the goal like Perry does. I mean, I don't know if it's because I've been staring at Meslier for so long, but he was a giant. He really was. Which is great to see. I know he did a few kicks that weren't particularly perfect, but I got a bit annoyed that people were getting hung up on that. I just give the guy a chance. Like he looks the real deal to me.
I totally agree with you on the Perry one. Like, yeah, what difference does it make if you had a few wayward kicks? At the end of the day, he had one save to make and he made it, and he looked so imposing and commanding across that box. But I think you're right though with regards to the competitive side of things. We're going to be competitive against anyone, and I think that comes down to the recruitment, because the spine of the team is so strong. Like if we look at the two centre backs who played yesterday, Stroke and Rodon, now we don't really anticipate Stroke's going to play as much this season. We anticipate it's going to be Beal, but Stroke was brilliant on Saturday, or sorry, on Monday. And obviously, if Beal comes in, he's got that big physical imposingness as well. The three in midfield are going to be exactly the same, and then you got Nemecha up front if he's to play, or Dominic Calvert-Lewin. And to be fair, I thought Pirou dropped deep and actually linked things up as well as I've ever seen him do. So that spine of that team, being as solid as it is going to make us competitive against anyone. And one thing I do want to put to bed as well is this idea that Everton were poor. It's a poor Everton side. Like Everton will probably finish bottom middle half of the table, maybe somewhere between 10th and 14th, which means there's going to be a handful of teams in the whole country who are better than them. So let's put that to bed. They're one of the top teams in England. They're an established Premier League team. They're in a little bit of flux, but we made them look ordinary. It was down to the quality of Leeds that they looked so bad, because they will have their wins and they'll do fine this season.
I think it's quite interesting how much people have been talking about Burnley and how strong they were defensively last year, and then they've obviously come in and got beaten by Spurs. But I think there's only really one player that's was originally in that back five last season. Trafford's obviously moved on to, he's gone back to Man City. But I think they're starting from scratch really with their defence this season, going into a way more competitive league, whereas we're building on what we had from last season. So I do feel we're in a really good position in terms of everything the club are doing. It probably segues into the things that we talked about before around, it feels like we do need something a bit more in attack. 'Cause that's where in the second half, particularly at the start of it, we were struggling to kind of get closer to goal really. And obviously today a lot of Fabrizio Romano posted a photo of Noah. I've gone completely blank on his surname because I think I was panicking that much about pronouncing it correctly that I've forgotten it. Okafor, that's it. Sorry, is that how you pronounce it? Yeah, let's say that. Okafor. And so there's pictures of him on the plane, and there's a picture outside a Greg's at Thorpe Park as well, which is classic Leeds fans. I presume they followed him off the plane as well. So we're getting the attacking threat that we desperately need to be competitive. We did see him against us when we played AC Milan in Dublin. I think he scored a couple of goals against your team as well, Isaac. Did he in pre-season?
Yeah, he scored against Liverpool. Yeah.
But yeah, it looks like that's going to go through.
That's the one concern I have with Leeds is the scoring goals, because the defense can be solid, and it looks like we've got Leeds got a really strong central spine, but it's just that attack. And I asked Daniel Farke after in the press conference, I said, you've got the win, that's brilliant, because just to scoot back a bit, he'd said that at one stage he was worried that despite all the dominance that Leeds weren't going to score and they were going to walk away with 1 point instead of 3, which is what they deserved. So I asked, I said, even though you've got the win, does this sort of underline further the need for more attacking options? And he said, yeah, that's basically why I said it. He said we're definitely in the market for more options. Now, Okafor is clearly Leeds' answer to the failure to get Igor or Peixao. Anyone who was going to come after Peixao realistically was going to be a bit of a downgrade. And with Okafor, I've looked at him in the moment. I'm not necessarily fully convinced. I think he's had a bit of an injury past. He hasn't got fantastic assists and goal returns. I've done a piece actually comparing Leeds' wingers at the moment to Okafor now. What I'm not trying to do is pour cold water over something that's just about to happen. And end of the day, he scored 4 goals in pre-season, so he could be on the rise. He could be back to where Milan thought he would get to originally. And it's worth saying that people who I've spoken to as well, Milan were impressed with him in pre-season. However, obviously not enough to stop an exit. Let's see. I don't want to. I think we should temper expectations. That's what I'm saying. It's going from Peixao to Okafor is a bit of a downstep. However, past figures don't necessarily indicate future performance, and it could be that actually the Premier League suits him better, the style of play. It could be that he's got a point to prove after a a very stagnant time at Napoli on loan last season. So he comes with hunger, and at the end of the day, if he wasn't a certain character, Daniel Farke wouldn't want him in. So he's clearly passed the character check as well. So I know there's a lot of excitement around him, and I think that's absolutely fine, but I would temper expectations slightly. I'd rather him, put egg on my face and be, another Rafinha. I just don't see that at the moment. I mean, no one's going to be Rafinha, but you know what I mean? Is he the answer to the hole they've got on the left wing? I don't think that's clear at the moment. But obviously,
can he play up front as well then? Will he offer another option?
Yeah. So that's another thing as well. So perhaps he kills 2 birds with 1 stone in the sense of he can play on the left and he has the ability to play up front. So that would in effect give Leeds 4 striker options. Daniel Farke last week said while he was open to a striker that other areas were of more importance. So that's why the left wing has been concentrated on and the fullback's been concentrated on. So yeah, he is versatile, and that's one thing about most attackers. Most attackers, at least at the moment, they are versatile. They can sort of play in various positions, like Nonto, for example. Um, so yeah, I don't want to like pour cold
Uh,
water on it, but I just, like I say, I just temper what we'd expect from someone who Milan is ready to sell.
to be honest, like you said, quite happy to have egg on your face. It's the same for me in the sense of the other week, Dara made me talk about my views on Goodmanson, and talk about my concerns. Talked about my concerns,
only one game, in
well, yeah, and I did make that point. It's kind of why I didn't want to talk about it anymore. And then he's like been brilliant since. He's like an ox on the wing, which is brilliant to see. So, no, I totally get it. I think you're right, Isaac, and I suppose some of it as well is that do Milan see themselves at a different level to Leeds, which they probably are. Let's be honest, because we've been out of the top flight for a long time, and so do they require a higher standard of player than Leeds probably demand right now? And like you say, if the club and the recruitment see that there's a higher ceiling that you can go to, then it's worth a go. And I think reinforcements up there are what we need. And I don't know. It feels like we're probably going to go for someone else as well, from all the rumours that have been said. But what's your kind of gut feel on that at the moment?
In terms of getting someone else
Yeah,
in besides.
if there's a feel for any further attackers or an out and out striker, or whether we're done really.
Well, yeah. Well, to be honest, that is probably a question that's going to be asked to Daniel Farke tomorrow at
Yeah,
the press conference. If I had to have now, I would got the left wing go for a fullback. They need a backup fullback. Then they'll see what's what after that. Is it a number 10? I'm not fully convinced that that is such a as high a priority in number 10, really, considering the system that they're going to play this season. I've written a piece that is going to go out tomorrow about that, basically, which I'll unpack further. But my argument for that is basically you convince a number 10 to come to Leeds when the system at the moment doesn't have a number 10 role.
yeah,
That's a hard sell. That's a hard sell for. So I think if that does happen, that'll be towards the end of the window when a player's probably like looking hesitant a bit. Oh, I need somewhere to go. Oh, Leeds are there, and Leeds will have me. Okay, that might be that type of thing. In terms of another striker, like I said, Farker's open to it. It'll be interesting to see when if Okafor it does come through fine, which we think he has. It's medical. Um, if he does if he's making a concerted effort to get another attacker, because like you say, Okafor can play up front. My gut feeling is that maybe not, unless there's an opportunity that's too good to turn down, because otherwise you will have four strikers up
yeah,
top. You've got Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who probably will think he's first choice. You've got Joel Peru, who wants to be first choice. You've got Nemecha, who has just scored the winner in a crucial game. A fourth one in the mix can make things a bit more complicated again, unless it's like a really young sort of like prospect that you trust can do a little bit. Yeah, well, we're not allowed to ask Farker
I saw that.
about
That's right. Yeah, I saw
Harry
that.
Gray.
James, there's a few
It,
questions
And
for
I
Isaac
understand.
there in the comments.
yeah,
But before you queue them up, is it true, Isaac, that Okafor's main strength is one-on-ones? Is that his primary strength?
Um, I'd say yeah, he's all right at it from what I've seen. I I don't think you'd call him a one-on-one specialist, but I think that's probably one of his main assets. Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
when you compare it to Nonto and Harrison and Ramazani, I think he's got the best take on success percentage. Um, so I think yeah that is something that is one of his strengths for sure.
Yeah, because that's an interesting one, because obviously I think that's one of the things we lacked on Monday in terms of the front three, was that ability to take on the man. Like we saw Nanto getting down the line but then cutting back inside, and obviously they were kind of doubling up on Dan James, and I thought your man Garner actually was probably Everton's best player on the night as well. So James had a quiet game. But I think if you look at kind of in terms of how you build your squad, and you look at it perhaps through pre-season, and the recruitment team have identified, look, we need someone to open up a team here, someone who can go past the man. Then maybe Okafor steps into that position, or fulfills that role, and maybe it can open up a team in that way, albeit maybe from a deeper position or whatever it might be, but just gives us that extra dimension. That's something different that currently we don't have in the squad.
I think that's right. Yeah, I think he does. That is very on point. Yeah, he does offer something that Leeds haven't got, and that's why they're going to get him as well. So yeah,
it's a bit like is it again name pronunciation for me? Iliam Ndiaye for Everton was so good at just dragging them up the pitch. For us, it was great because we were defensively we were so good at him. When he got past two men, there was a third man there to sort of pick up the pieces. But it's that kind of player that we need, like you say, Dara, that just splits the team apart, gets us up the field quite quickly, and I think he can potentially do that. So yeah, there were a few questions for you, but yeah, you mentioned Harry Gray and not Farke saying not to mention his name in the press conference, which is quite funny really, because the club are quite happy to plaster him on sort of any promotional stuff, but then you can have a look at him, but don't you mention his name, which seems a little bit harsh.
I understand because he's 16 years old. I mean,
yeah.
Gosh, that is so young, and I think Farke had a bit of a check, sort of like a check back when I don't think Farke was too enamoured with his celebrations at the end of last year. I mean, he's 16 years old, you can understand it, but I think he thought he was taking.
He definitely wouldn't have been enamoured with our celebrations then, correct?
So yeah, I think the club are very much just trying to shield him from that, because they know they've got a talent, potential talent anyway, and I understand that. But in terms of centre forward, I've just seen people have asked about Muniz. There is a point to be said that Leeds haven't spent on Dominic Calvert-Lewin. They're probably going to spend less than 20 million on Okafor, probably close to 17, 18 million. What's happening with the other money? Is there enough to go for Muniz? I mean, if the opportunity is there, like I said, if an opportunity does open up, why not? But Farke has got to make that call about not upsetting the apple cart in terms of the strikers he's got, and that's the balance that he'll have to make, what the recruitment team will have to make, and it comes down to, are the attacking options that they've got now plus Okafor enough to keep Leeds in the league? And they've got to decide if that's a yes or no.
There's also the loan market, which we haven't even discussed yet or had a look at, which could be another way of bringing in quality players at very, very low price. Is there any rumours or anyone we're looking at on that front? And obviously, Buonanotte is another one being asked for in the comments.
Why are we going after players with just complex names? It's just not. It's just designed to trip up podcasters and press. That's what it is.
Imagine poor Joe Wayman trying to pronounce these names. Sorry, Rocco, go ahead.
No, I was just saying his name's Good Night. It couldn't be simpler. Buonanotte.
Of course, the Italian on the team.
Yes, absolutely. So, sorry, what was the question, Dara? Missed.
The loan window or the loan market. Is there any kind of feelers out within that?
I've not heard anything. I mean, you can't rule it out, especially if it's going to be like if they can't get James Justin over the line and looking at a backup fullback to bring in. I think that's definitely something that's feasible to do. I've not heard anything from my end on that, but that doesn't mean work isn't happening in regards to that. It's a possibility. I don't see why not. In terms of PSR, that's not going to impact it that much. Yeah, so I haven't heard anything on my end, I will say, but I could see that happening.
There's not really been any money coming to the club yet from sales, has there? And I think Joel Pirou did an interview and talked about PSV coming in with an offer in the summer that the club turned down, and he obviously doesn't want to leave as well. Is there? The club obviously don't see Melia in their plans. Bamford might stick around because he's on a decent salary. Maybe that's a harsh thing to say. But yeah, are there any sort of rumblings of any movement out of the club as well at the moment?
I think, well, firstly, it looks like Sam Greenwood will be going permanently somewhere before the end of the window. So that's one. I would be surprised if Isaac Schmidt doesn't move on, but Leeds will only let him go if they get a replacement in beforehand. So that's the situation there. But I can see Leeds getting someone in and Isaac Schmidt going, because with Schmidt, I mean, he's hardly impressed, has he? Really, in the last few outings, unfortunately, and I don't think many fans would be confident with him as the backup right back. Obviously, Byram is there as well. Schmidt has been told by his national team boss, the Switzerland boss, that if he gets game time this season, he will be going to the World Cup next year. And so, if it wasn't for that, I don't think Schmidt would be so eager to move away. But because of that, and because it's a potentially once in a lifetime opportunity, then I think he's very open, shall we say, to going. And Werder Bremen definitely have loan interest in him. And one of the Werder Bremen transfer chiefs the other day went on record saying that Isaac has shown interest in joining as well. So those are two who could go. He was asked, Daniel Farke, does he expect any outgoings last week, anytime soon? Now this was last Friday, and he said no. But obviously it's almost a week since then, so things could have moved, things could have shifted. What I would like to know is where Ramazani fits in his plans now, if Okafor comes in, because he is third choice. Because I would imagine Nonto will be now seen as the backup right winger primarily, but also he obviously can play on the left as well. But then you've got Harrison, who came on against Everton. Ramazani was left on the bench. Obviously, Farke called out Ramazani towards the end of last season, telling him to step up. And when we chatted to Ramazani in the camp in Germany, he said, I matured a lot and I'm ready for the Premier League. So I don't think Ramazani probably wants to go, and it appears as though he's not back at least one loan offer from a European club. But he might have to make a decision potentially, because it doesn't look like he's further up the pecking order. So I'd watch out for that. I'm not saying he necessarily will go, but I'd just watch that situation. But those are the main ones, really. I think Bamford will be a hard one to shift because of his wage, quite frankly. But that doesn't mean he won't go. And I think who else? Obviously, Joseph's already gone, hasn't he?
Gerhardt is gone.
Yeah. So those are the ones that you're sort of looking at, really. But one final point just to say on outgoings as well is that what the recruitment team are aware of is that they can sell players at the end of the season before June 30th, which is when after which the new PSR cycle starts. So they can do that if they need to within PSR. So it is something that could happen. But what I would argue is, well, clubs will be setting their PSR status by then. Will they want to gamble risking a PSR breach by buying someone before that period? And also, as well, there's a World Cup, and when there's movement, usually players are more reluctant to move before a World Cup if they are involved in the World Cup, because they want to, let me just get the World Cup out of the way, let me concentrate on that, and then I'll sort my future afterwards. So I think whilst that there's definitely a feasible period in which Leeds could sell, I don't think it's the easiest period to sell. So that's the sort of situation with that.
It's like Melia as well. The club are definitely trying to move things on there. We've got a lot of keepers now, haven't we?
Melia, he'll probably go. Yeah.
But yeah, there doesn't seem to be sort of any interest, but there probably is behind the scenes. That's the way it goes. And I think if we jump back to the game as well, because like you said, Isaac, we'll probably come on to the penalty. So we should probably talk about it. But I think I was scouring the BBC comments everywhere and for getting a general feel outside of the Leeds and Everton sphere, what people thought. And I think generally everyone was complimentary to, well, they were the complimentary, but positive towards Leeds in that we should have had a penalty. And for me, he does sort of fall onto the ball to try and stop it. It's not, obviously his arm's there, and the speed of which the ball is going, he doesn't raise his arm up, but he does move into it, and it seemed deliberate to me. So looked like a penalty on the night, looked like a penalty on the replays. And I just found it funny as well that he pointed to his arm. It's like, hit my arm. It's like, well, that's not doing you any favours, is it? So, yeah. Good penalty as well.
Rocco, do you think it was a penalty?
100%. Absolutely. Yeah. I was furious at the response. I just think it's like so out of order. You know, like we all know that it can go one way or it can go the other, and it's just, you know, hearing Tarkowski say it's like, what did he say, bizarre decision, and Moyes going on about it like he does. You know, it just winds me up because, you know, they're just serving their own purposes and it doesn't help at all. And the problem with these decisions as well is that a lot of the outrage from the Everton fans is because of other decisions that they disagreed with. So, like, it's probably happened to them in the past. I've seen decisions where they thought it should have been a penalty and it wasn't. So now the exact same thing happens, and because they've now got the right decision, they're still annoyed because they got it wrong last time, or they'll worry that they'll get it wrong next time, and then you end up just complaining about everything. Like, complaining about a right decision is ludicrous. And yeah, the guy, well, he saved it. It's a penalty all day long for me.
Isaac's thinking, this is classic Everton, this.
I'm actually slightly surprised at that. I thought the football purist in you would be like, that's never a handball. Unless he's got his hands up here, it's not a handball.
Well, I get annoyed because, like, in recent times, it has seemed like players are allowed to handball it if their arms are by the side. So I was very impressed that they got it right this time.
Well, you know what I think, lads? I don't care. I don't care if it was or it wasn't. We have had enough bad decisions and enough tight decisions not go our way over the years. I don't care if it was a penalty or not. We got it. We stuck it in the net. We took our 3 points. Thank you very much, Everton. Bye bye. Cry no salty tears. That guy on doing the rounds on social media is so funny with the really thick Scouse accent. What? I can't believe we're losing to Leeds. I was like, yes, hook that to my veins. Part of getting that penalty though was a nice cameo from Jack Harrison. Now, I've said from the start, Farke is having Jack Harrison. I knew it. The minute Jack Harrison came back into the squad, I said, with his work rate and his dependability and his professionalism, Daniel Farke will be having Jack Harrison. An interesting comment there from Busy asking now, did Harrison come on simply because it was Everton? I think Harrison came on probably partly because it was Everton, but also because the game, that's what the game required. It was a tight game at that stage. And I think there might be a time for Ramazani. It might be for 2-0 down against Everton. Maybe that's a Ramazani stage. But that was definitely a time for Jack Harrison. And he thought he played really well. And he gave us something different again. Talking about the wingers who do different things. Like if Okafor is taking on a man one-on-one, Harrison got down the left wing and whipped 2 balls in. Like that, we hadn't seen Nanto do that at all. He cuts inside and has a shot. So again, it's just putting something different. But what did you guys make to Jack Harrison's performance? And also, I'll throw in the boos. How loud were they at Elland Road?
Well, I was going to wait until after Rocco's last little rant to come back to this because I thought this is going to bring another rant for Rocco. Because I know you were disgruntled by the reaction of the fans, which, you know, I agree with you. But I want you to offload now, Rocco. Come on, let's hear it.
Oh, God. Why are you making me do this?
Come on. This is part of who you are. This is what people come here for.
Yeah. No, well, I hated it. Absolutely hated it. Like, I don't want to hear that. Like, it's our first game back in the Premier League. Harrison's a Leeds player. He comes on the pitch. You know, I just think people should swallow their pride and just support the lads. You know, you can think what you want about him, but booing him on the pitch, I don't like. The one thing I would say, there's been times in the past where, like with Woba, for example, I think like I would have liked to boo him because I thought he was going to leave anyway. Do you know what I mean? And then you sort of miss your chance to let them know what you really think before they leave. So if people are doing that, then I do get it from that side of things, but I really wish it didn't happen. But obviously everyone's entitled to do what they want, and if that's how they feel, fair enough. But yeah, just wish it didn't happen. Don't think it's the right environment to do it.
I'm with you, Rocco. I just think it serves no purpose. Like if you're there to support, then booing your own players, what's it gonna achieve? Like Harrison's on the pitch doing his best for Leeds United, and if you're booing him, Now, I'm not saying you're going to have a massive impact, but I just don't think it's right to boo a Leeds player. I don't boo Leeds players. So look, it's been done now. As Mick Hennigan once said, fans pay their money and they're entitled to their opinion. That's all right by me. So yeah, Leeds fans you're entitled to do whatever you want. But I would say, can we draw a line under it now? Like, it's been done. The point's been made, and he put in a shift. And two other nice things on Harrison. One was the two bar tabs he opened up in the Moot Hall and the Peacock. That was a really classy move. And at the very end, he was the last one to leave the pitch. He ran over to a young fan in the East Stand and gave him his jersey. And then he got a lovely round of applause off with whoever was left in the South Stand as he ran back to the tunnel. And I thought, well done, South Stand. Love that.
Isaac, who got the bigger boos? Grealish or Harrison? You probably had the best seat in the house for that.
No, it was definitely Grealish. Grealish had the bigger boos. It's interesting because when he went to go and warm up Harrison, he was part of a trio that went to go warm up in the first half. And initially there was really warm applause for all three, but he was sort of leading it in sort of the run out, and he was definitely part of the applause was definitely directed a little bit at him. But then he went over and said hello to his former Everton teammates who were also warming up, and that got a bit of a boo. I don't think they liked that so much. But having said that, it wasn't a massively harsh boo. Just like, no, don't do that, mate. This is not what we do. When he came onto the pitch, there was a mixed reaction. There was definitely some boos, but there was also some loud cheers as well. And I think over time, those boos are just going to dissipate, to be honest, because of exactly what you guys have said. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say what Leeds fans should and shouldn't do. That's not my job. And I wouldn't want to say that either. What I would say is that everyone who you speak to around the club has said his character has been brilliant. He's a really good character. He's applied himself. He's a hard worker. And ever since he's come back, he's been committed to Leeds. I would say the fact that he's trying to build bridges again with fans means he's probably thinking he is going to stay. He's not really spying a move away. If I am being a bit cynical, I would say there's probably not many options else for him in the Premier League, especially with Grealish now going to Everton on the left wing. But at the same time, you've got to analyse what's in front of you. And his commitment, his showing so far has been the same as every other player on the pitch. And like you said, his stint, if he carries on in the similar vein of his stint that he performed against Everton, then he'll win fans back relatively quickly. And that's what Farke said as well. It's up to Jack to win the fans back, and he'll do that by working hard and putting blood, sweat, and tears into it. And it looks like he's prepared to do that. So there was a mixed reaction, but I think over time that will probably become, if I had to predict, become less than that. Because, like I said, I don't think it will last forever.
No, it won't. I think it's quite funny down that touchline because you see a few things when they were all warming up. When Jack Grealish first came out to warm up, a Leeds fan ran out the stand and Jack Grealish's face was a bit like shocked, and then he just like waved at Jack Grealish, and it was just the most random thing ever, as though he was going to launch some, even like swearing, sticking his fingers up at him, but he just waved. It was just a funny moment. And I think when you mentioned Moyes and his misery, Rocco, when Tanaka got subbed off, he walked in front of the player who was taking a throw in, and Moyes went ballistic at their right back taking the throw in. Just take the throw in, because Tanaka was walking in front of us, and you could hear it crystal clear as well. It was brilliant. All panic in the later stages of the game. So I think we probably jumped to like a very quick preview, because we're rolling on for time, of the Arsenal game. And I think it's going to be a massive test when you look at their midfield. You've got Declan Rice, who was in the voted into the PFA team of the year. But many of ours were in the Championship as well, which was brilliant to see. And then you've got the likes of Odegaard, who can just run all day. I watched him against Scum at the weekend, and he runs so much and breaks up a lot of play. And
they were all saying he had a bad game as well.
Yeah,
I was watching thinking he was absolutely magnificent.
He's just everywhere.
That was him being bad.
He's just everywhere. But I think Anton Stack actually ran further distance than him over in our game, so that's encouraging at least. And I think, yeah, I mean, I don't want to say too much, but what are your thoughts, Dara, on how we'll fare against Arsenal? It's going to be a massive test, but one I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, I think, look, there's levels in the Premier League, and there's 3 teams that are multiple levels above everyone else, and that's Man City, Liverpool, and Arsenal. And below that, then it's obviously the likes of Villa and whoever else, Spurs and the likes of them. So I'm not too sure, to be honest. And I think we might see a very different tactic against Arsenal than perhaps we might see, say, against a Crystal Palace or a Bournemouth away. So I wouldn't be surprised if someone like Longstaff comes in to add that extra bit of solidity into the midfield. I don't think Biol will start. I think it would send a really wrong message to Stroke to have come in, played as well as he did, and then be dropped. And also, I think in terms of competition for places, that's Stroke's position now, and it's up to him to lose it. Now, look, we could lose 3-0, and then it'll be a very easy one for Farke to change the defence any which way he wants. But it'll be interesting to see how he approaches it. I wouldn't be surprised if Harrison starts. In terms of his work rate backwards, particularly with Saka on their right hand side, to double up with Goodmanson. So yeah, look, I anticipate a loss. You can't not. Arsenal have £1 billion squad, and they've been second in the league for the last 2 seasons. But judging what we saw on Monday, am I hopeful we can put it up to them? Will I be as nervous as I was against Everton, kind of not knowing if we were going to get trounced or not? No, I won't be. I've got faith in this Leeds team. Might be a bridge too far away at the Emirates for their first home game of the season, but I think we can trust this Leeds team to put in a shift and do their best.
Arsenal seem to have gazumped Spurs to Eze as well this evening, by the sounds of it. So hopefully he isn't registered in time for if it goes through, it isn't registered in time for the game at the weekend. So, but yeah, that's a hell of a signing for them, and he's caused us so many problems over the years.
Sorry, James. Sorry to cut across you. Do you speak of that, Isaac? Can you ask Daniel Farke to pass me his phone number? No, can you ask Daniel Farke how far away is Dominic Calvert-Lewin from fitness? Because obviously he's had no pre-season, so it was probably no big surprise, although a bit of a disappointment not to see him on the bench. It'd be interesting to put a timeline on that.
You asked like you're asking an elf to ask Santa for for your favourite Christmas present.
Isaac is like our elf on the shelf.
I'll be honest, someone's probably going to ask that question before it gets to me anyway. So that it's you'll probably find that out tomorrow if Farke wants to give a proper answer on that. But yeah, as for Arsenal, I think everyone's expecting a loss. In a way, you could say it's a free hit for Leeds. If a free hit in the sense, well, barring a heavy loss, you don't want a heavy loss. You don't want to dent the confidence. But I think too that he will start Strauch over Biol. I think it makes more sense given that Biol only played 15 minutes in Dublin, and I think he only came on the second half against Villarreal, so he's not had that much game time recently. It makes more sense to use him in the Sheffield Wednesday Cup game and then reintegrate him into the team for the following game against Newcastle. That's what I think will happen. And also Strauch, he played really well against Everton, and if Gyökeres, as expected, will start against Leeds, Strauch's aerial presence will be needed against him, and he could be a good match. Now Biol obviously as well has got really good aerial presence, but Strauch's match warm. He's ready. He's also familiar for Rodon as well, and that familiarity will help away from home against a big hitter as well. So yeah, I think obviously you want the points. Of course you want the points, but I think it's as much about the performance at Arsenal as well, and how are they going to set up when they are under the cosh and how they cope with that. That's going to be one of the main tests as well. Obviously you want points, but that as a secondary aim, that's the sort of thing I think we should be looking out for.
There's rumours that Gyökeres was injured as well as Kai Havertz earlier on this evening. I don't know how true they are, but there's me then thinking, well, now's our chance. We can win this in all my naivety. But Rocco, where are you at with it? Arsenal big game.
Yeah, I'll have another rant, shall I? I was really annoyed that they can just get a little knee injury to Havertz and then just go out and buy Eze. And yeah, Gyökeres is injured, so they'll probably sign Isaac before our game. Just like the other guys, very excited. Good to see Rice up against his idol in Tanaka in midfield, so that'll be good. And yeah, see how we go. Yeah, I think that's a good shout by Dara. Maybe Harrison might start instead of Gnonto on the left. But yeah, just looking forward to seeing how they do. I think we'll be a bit more compact, try and play a bit more on the break, probably not take as many quick throw-ins, and I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. I'm not expecting a pasting, which is good. Let's hope we're not surprised.
Yeah, that's good. Quick fire then. Score, Dara.
1-0 Leeds. So that's heart, not head.
Rocco.
2-1 Arsenal.
Isaac.
I think it's got 2-0 written all over it to Arsenal, unfortunately.
Oh, I'm going with you, Dara. I don't know why, but I think we might sneak it somehow. I don't know how, but we might. You never know. I know it sounds impossible, but why not? Cool, great stuff. Well, yeah, thanks. Oh, there's one more. I'd always forget to ask Dara. Come on, there's always one more thing.
I think I'm gonna keep one more thing in my pocket for the rest of the season. So yeah, okay. I've a lovely story for you, right? So my brother was over there for the Everton game, and he met up with a friend of his called Pat. And Pat had flown over on the Sunday night and decided to go for a pint on his own in the Scarborough Arms. So he's sitting in the Scarborough Arms, and a guy walks over to him, introduces himself, and asks, "Do you mind if I sit with you?" Because he saw him on his own. That man was Gary Kelly. Gary Kelly then proceeded to have a pint with him and spoke with him for a full hour and left. And absolutely made Pat's whole weekend. So I just wanted to say, you don't hear often these stories. I've heard great stories about Gary Kelly over the years. I've heard stories about him buying the furniture for all youth players' apartments when they moved in together and moved out of digs, stuff like that. But I just thought that as just a lovely personal touch. He went into a bar, he saw a guy from Ireland sitting on his own and said, "I'll give him some company." And obviously, made his bloody year, no doubt. I mean, who wouldn't want to sit down with a Leeds legend, a one club man over 500 appearances, and a guy who played with everyone from the Wilco era to the O'Leary era, and then unfortunately the Blackwell era. So yeah, I just thought that was absolutely lovely of Gary Kelly. And if anyone ever doubted his credentials in Leeds, let's not do that. He's an absolute legend.
Irish in the chat as well, Stephen. Feck off, Dara. Wow. Yeah. Brilliant. Yeah, it's a great story. And but yeah, thanks ever so much, everyone, for joining us. And hopefully it's a positive result against Arsenal. It's going to be difficult, but you never know. But yeah, thanks again, and we'll see you all again soon. Cheers.